is this dead man walking?
Well, because I can't answer you. I barely even know that I'm alive.
Do you know that? Do you know the answer?
Well, I know that vaguely I'm alive. I know I'm in season 2.
Okay.
But I'm also very aware that this is a show that has used flashbacks relentlessly. So we could just be going backwards.
So they really haven't told you?
Kind of. I know we're jumping forward a year, and I know that the character needs to have regrouped, got away from everywhere, and reevaluated who he is and what he wants and what he's after. And I think there'll be a lot less selfishness from him, because it was all about Joe. It wasn't really about the followers at all. He was using them as a way, as a kind of a MacGuffin, if you like, to get what he wanted, which was he wanted to write the book and he wanted to be with his family. Now that after the knife and fork incident, it's going to be hard for him to get back with Claire, and especially considering we've just watched her die in that clip that we just showed the panel. So I think that in a way that will release him to create much more mischief and murder and mayhem on a much larger scale.
Was that your way into the character, knowing that he wanted just to get back with his
Yeah,
family?
my first season, it was all about... I knew the super objective was get back with your family, write the book. It was a really simple one. It was just a very complicated way of going around it. But then, if you're banged up in prison for the deaths of 14 young women, and the way you plan it out that you're going to get out is by creating this following of people, but then lying consistently to those people, he's a psychopath. So he's not somebody you can trust, and the nicer he is, the more danger you're in.
When we talked to you last year, you at Comic-Con, you had a very interesting experience with someone who had seen the pilot of The Following.
Yeah.
What kind of experiences with fans have you had since the show actually premiered?
I'm fine most of the time. It's just when people, if I'm in very close quarters with somebody, like I was in New York, I was in an elevator and a woman got in and she pushed 19 and I would already push 24 or something. And as we were ascending, I could just suddenly feel that she was going. You start hearing her slightly hyperventilating on the other side of the, little moments like that. A woman yelped, literally yelped, as I ran into her. I turned around, got out of the car, turned around, she was there. She looked up and yelped like a little dog at my face. I was in a bookshop in a tiny little village in the southwest of England a few weeks ago, and I had this huge pile of books I was buying, and I put them down in front of me, and as she did, she started taking them off the top, and as I appeared behind the books, she went, "Oh, Jesus fucking Christ!" Because she'd been lying in bed the night before watching it on her iPad. And for me to turn up in this sleepy West Country village, even though I come from around there, just freaked her out. So it's a very visceral reaction that I get from people.
So I have to ask you, there was a scene where one of your followers gave up his life.
Yeah, Charlie. Beautifully done.
That whole sequence was one of the most beautiful
and yet
and almost borderline erotic, the way it slowly unfolded.
And yet,
what was it like filming something like that?
Well, we wanted to make it operatic. We wanted to make it borderline erotic. We wanted to make it all those very complicated things, and that man felt that was the way that he wanted to express himself. It's not. It's not that far-fetched.
Did you have to do a lot of research for the character to build this character? Or?
Yeah. I did an awful lot of research when I first started, and a lot of research into serial killers, different kinds of serial killers, and then you narrow it down to the kind of man that he is, and then you work from there. And one of the things I was very keen on doing was making sure that he very rarely got angry. It's only towards the end of the show when things are beginning that he's under pressure. Things are beginning to crumble, it starts coming out, because this man has deep wells of terrifying anger and fear in him.
So are you a
Guys, I
fan of
have to
Edgar
move
Allan
him.
Poe?
I'm sorry.
I'm a big fan of Edgar Allan Poe, yeah. Of course, who wouldn't be? Thank you.
Thanks a lot.